Hiya, fishy folks, and welcome back to Michael's Fish Room. Today, let's talk about water changes. Grab yourself a snack and a beverage and something to take notes on. Stand by. All right, fishy folks, welcome back to the channel. If you don't know me, my name is Michael. I'm a handsome devil, and I'm going to drop some knowledge on you. In most cases, I use the KISS method when I explain things. Keep it simple, stupid. I'm just a handsome guy, dumb with a camera, right? I'm not the brightest Crayola in the box, bulb on the tree, candle on the menorah, sharpest tool in the shed. You picking up what I'm putting down? I like to keep it simple. Why? It's just easier. Now, if you're a beginner, this video is for you. If you're an intermediate, you probably can learn something. If you're an expert, keep watching because you don't know it all. And I'm handsome and funny and entertaining. So let's ask this question first. Why do we do water changes? It's a great question. And the answer is simple, but it has many different parts. The most basic and biggest reason we change water is because in the aquarium cycle, once ammonia is processed through to nitrates, those nitrates stay in the tank forever. Unless you have a heavy planted tank or you have very specialized filtration, which most of us don't, your nitrates are the reason why we change water. Are there other reasons? Yes. Hormones, heavy metals, trace minerals, yeah, all that stuff. But for the most part, it's nitrates. Now, where do nitrates come from? Well, you need a little knowledge about the aquarium, about the nitrogen cycle, and I'll put a video up here I made about that. But simply put, our fish poop in the water, and that poop becomes ammonia, then nitrite, then nitrate. And the nitrogen cycle takes care of the ammonia and nitrite, but the nitrate stays in the tank. So basically, we need to remove that nitrate, or it'll get too high and our fish will get sick and die. And nobody wants that. So the next question is, when and how often do we change water? I'm fine. Well, how do we know? Like what's the trigger for changing water? Some people change X amount of water every week because that's their routine. That's what they're used to, and that's what works for them. And that's fine. I just want to preface everything I'm saying here with, this is what works for me and is very general. If you ask a question on social media, why do we change water? Or how much water should I change? You're going to get 1,000 different answers. I change 50% weekly. I change 50% daily. I change 97% every 3 hours. I never change water. I've had my tank for 900 years, right? It's all these different answers. And it really depends on the situation you have. So let me give you an example. If you have a big tank, say 55 gallons, that's big for many people, and you have one guppy, you probably never have to change water, ever. But if you had that same 55 gallon with 1,000 guppies, you'd probably have to change water every day. Just like if you had a 10-gallon tank with an Oscar, you'd have to change water every day. A lot of water. But if you had that same Oscar in a 300-gallon tank, you wouldn't have to change water as often because the amount of waste that those fish create, we'll call it the bioload, is different, right? High bioload, more water changes. Low bioload, less water changes. And then if you throw in a planted tank, obviously not with an Oscar, but with guppies, the plants will consume the nitrate and use it to grow, and you might have very low or zero nitrate readings in your tank. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know down below. I will try to answer as many as I can. So, let's get back to how often do we change water? Well, that's what we kind of have to figure out, right? So, the way that I use, the method that I use was taught to me by other older, much more experienced and smarter fish keepers. And it's simple. When your nitrate level gets to a predetermined amount, now that amount, you could ask 1,000 different people and you're going to get 1,015 different answers. 5 parts per million, 10 parts per million, 40 parts per million. I go to 60 parts per million. Whatever that number is, you decide. It's your fish. In general, many people say less than 40 parts per million is safe for fish. More than 40 parts per million is not safe for fish. Now, I can tell you, I've had tanks well over 100 parts per million and the fish were fine. And I can tell you I've had tanks that were under 20 parts per million and the fish looked a little funny. It kind of depends on the fish and how hard they are. But for the purpose of this video, and to keep math simple, because dumb guy with a camera, let's just say 40 parts per million is where you want to change your water. When your fish tank is converting ammonia and nitrite into nitrate, and that nitrate level gets to 40 parts per million, that'll trigger you to do a water change. Now, some people, like I said, change water every week, and that's what works for them, no matter what, and that's fine. Again, it really depends on your situation, your routine, how many fish you have, the bio load, what you're feeding and how often. Yes, what you're feeding. I heard feeding crap food. You have to feed more for the fish to get the same nutritional value if you're feeding a good high quality food, okay? All right, how do we know about our nitrates? Well, you have to test water. It's one of the first things you should buy as a fish keeper. You buy the tank, you buy the filter, you buy the hood, you buy the light, or you buy one of those kits and a way to test your water. I don't care if it's a API master test kit or if it's test strips. No matter what you use, you just have to be able to test your water and learn how to test your water, okay? Like I said, we change our water at a predetermined amount, and I already explained for this video, we're going to say that's 40 parts per million. Now, what I recommend, how to figure this out to make it easy. Most people, like I said, have routines. They're creatures of habit, right? You wake up every morning, you feed your fish, you come home after work, you turn the light on, you look at your fish, you feed your fish, you interact with your fish, you talk to your fish. Oh, your fish is little cutie, right? And you do that every day, and you feed the same amount, the same food over and over. I don't mean you always feed Dr. Basilier's green. You might feed green and then garlic and then nano, and then you switch to Aquarium Co Op, brine shrimp, and then you switch to SuperCichlids, bloodworms. I'm saying you have a routine. Every other day it's this, every third day it's this. You picking up what I'm putting down? Start measuring your nitrates. When your nitrates get to whatever predetermined level it is, say it's 40 parts per million, that's when you change water. Now, for some people, that might take a week. For other people, that might take 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Again, a lot of variables. Specifically, your bio load is kind of really the most important there, okay? So let's just say it takes you 10 days to go from whatever your nitrates were to 40. Now that's going to trigger you to do a water change. Now, again, a lot of people just change it every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, once a month, because creatures of habit. And if that works, it's fine. But if you're having a problem or you're not sure where to start, use that calculation. Now, how much water do we change? That's another good question. And again, if you ask 1,000 different people, you're going to get 1,015 different answers. I changed 2%. I changed 90%. I changed 50%. Okay. Again, for simple math, because dumb guy with a camera, let's say you want 40 parts per million is when you change the water, and you want to go down to half. Now, simple math tells us that I have to, hold on, I got to take my shoes off, use my toes. All right. If you want to take your nitrate and lower it by half, you have to change half the water, 50% water change. Now, I highly recommend you test your source water at least every season, and especially after like a big rain, if you're going to do a water change, like let's say it rained like Noah's Ark for, the last 40 days, and today you're going to do a water change, I would test your tap water. Make sure, see, there might be extra chlorine. There might be nitrates from runoff. So you have to be careful. Test your source water at least once a season, but I would probably test it probably once a month, especially if you only do water changes once a month. Just test it when you do it. I'm fine. All right. So now we know how much water to change, when to change that water, but we need to know, do we need to do anything to that water? Yes. Now, again, you ask 1,000 people, you're going to get 997,000 different answers. I have well water in my house right now. I don't add any chemical, any conditioner, Fritz Complete, Fritz ACCR, Seachem Prime. I don't add anything. That's how I choose to do it. Are there heavy metals in my water? A tiny bit. You know how I know? I looked at the water test. I got a water test. It's part of New Jersey state law, actually. And I got the results because I have fish and I wanted to know. But if you're not sure what's in your water, if you're not sure if there's heavy metals or something that could harm your fish, add conditioner. Go to your local fish store, get some Fritz Complete, get some Seachem Prime, and follow the directions. It's good to have anyway if you have well water, because if you run into a problem, that can definitely save your fish if you're having an ammonia spike or something. Now, if you have city water, you definitely have to add a water conditioner because most municipalities or whomever controls the water adds chlorine or chloramine to kill bacteria. And what do you think is going to happen if you add that to your fish tank without neutralizing the chlorine or chloramine? That's right. Bacteria is going to die and your fish are going to die. Now, in my old house, there was no chloramine and there was very low chlorine. And I know this because I've done water changes without adding any water conditioner. And I've tested my source water multiple times. Very low ammonia coming out. And chlorine and chloramine will test as ammonia on your test, whether it's a strip or a liquid test kit. All right. I highly recommend the water conditioner, but it's your water. It's your money. You do what you want. Again, if it works for you, it's right for you. But just remember, when you go on social media and you say, I don't add anything because I have a well. Not everyone has a well. Not everyone has well water that's that safe. What else? You got to match the temperature close. Now, guys, don't overthink it. Don't kill yourself. If the water in your tank is 78 and the water that you're putting in is 80, doesn't really matter that much. Now, if the water in your tank is 78 and the water you're putting in is 50, that's bad. I use a very simple method. I put my finger in the tank. Oh, I put my other finger in the water I'm putting in. Oh, it's about the same. Done. Don't overthink that. All right? Add water conditioner. Get the water temperature as close as you can. I know people that use thermometers and they get it within 0.35 degrees of each other. That's too much work for me and it's not necessary. All right. The last thing we need to do is, how do you do the water change? Do you scoop it out with a cup? Do you siphon it out? It really depends on your situation. If you're new, you probably were sold some water changing device like a Python, which is fantastic. It hooks up to your sink. You start the water, create a siphon, shut the water off, and the water drains right into your sink, and it has the gravel vac, okay? But not everyone has that or can afford that. So maybe you use a siphon yourself, and you into a bucket, and then you empty the buckets. I'm old and lazy. That's how I used to do it when I was young and didn't care. But I'm old and lazy. I don't like buckets. And I made a video about this. I'll put the link up here. But I do use a pump, like for that tank right there. That tank. God, it's backwards because it's, yeah, anyway. I put a pump in the tank. I put the hose out the window, and I drain 50%. Now, that's because, heart surgery, so I can't lift anything. Eventually, I will have that water like go into the grass or save it in a bucket to water my plants. And the way that I had to fill it was with buckets. Actually, I had my girlfriend do it because I couldn't lift it. And she could only lift like half half a 5-gallon bucket of water at a time, so it took a long time. And it was a pain in the booty. The other way to do it, which I show you in that video, is you put a bucket in the sink, you put the pump in the bucket, and then you run the hose to the tank, and then as you're filling the bucket, it's running into the tank, okay? Or you just simply drain it into buckets and then put the buckets down the toilet or down the sink or on the grass, whatever. There is one other thing I want to tell you about water conditioners. When you add the water conditioner, the instructions tell you to add it directly to the tank for the complete volume of the tank. So if you have a 40-gallon and you're only doing 20 gallons, you don't add the water conditioner for 20 gallons, you add it for 40 gallons. Now, Prime and Seachem Safe and Fritz Complete, Fritz ACCR, they're pretty concentrated. So we're not talking about, gallons of water conditioner. We're talking about milliliters of water conditioner, the difference, okay? Just add the conditioner. And again, if you had a lot of rain, or that the municipality or water company has flushed the system, check your water, and definitely, almost always, you're going to have to increase the amount of conditioner to combat the added chlorine or chloramines that they've added. That's a little advanced, but something to think about. All right, fishy folks, I hope you learned something from this video. Let me know down in the comments below how you change water, how much water you change, and why. And again, if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. I just want to preface everything I'm saying here is with, God damn it. There is one other thing that I wanted to tell you, which I don't remember. God damn it. I don't remember. Oh,